Welcome, everyone. I'm really glad to see all of you here. My name is Garrett Westlake. I'm the Executive Director of the Vinci Center for Innovation here at VCU. And the crown jewel of the Vinci Center is definitely our Master of Product Innovation program. So, I wanted to kick things off for you all here tonight. Allison's got a great presentation that she's going to be able to run through, answer a lot of the specifics of the program. I'm actually teaching tonight, so I'm guest lecturing tonight in the master's program. So I'm going to kick things off for you all. I'm here to answer any questions, and then I'm actually going to run over and spend some time with the current cohort, which is something that I really enjoy getting to do. So again, we're really excited that you're interested in this program. I was able to attend the provost's talk this morning. The provost of the university gave his state of academic affairs talk this morning, and I was really flattered that he chose to spend quite a bit of time talking about the Vinci Center. And he talked about VCU moving in the direction of the Vinci Center as an institution. And that's obviously incredibly flattering. He made special mention of one of our newest facilities that I wanted to share with you all if you haven't had a chance to hear about it or check it out, which was our Shift Retail Lab and Student Storefront. This was the first of its kind in the country. It's a space for students to showcase as well as sell product directly to the public and gather feedback. So it's a 2,700 square foot facility. It was custom built for us by a donor. It's built on a black box theater concept so that it can be flipped and turned into anything. We've already had AR, VR events in the space. We've had music in the space. We've had retail shop hours in the space. We've held conferences in the space. So, in the short little bit of time it's been open, it's already served a number of different purposes. We also use it as a classroom. So 2 weeks ago, our master's students that are in their first semester capstone, instead of giving a class presentation where you stand up at the front of the classroom and you talk to your peers about what you're working on, they actually did it in the Shift Retail Lab, and it was open to the public. And members of the Richmond community came in, and students had to talk about their products and services to the public, which is a little bit different than doing it in front of your peers in the classroom. And they had to learn how they were going to display these things in a retail or in a real world environment to gain feedback and to move things forward. So we are excited about what comes next. We are already working on a variety of Shift related themes. So sneak peek for those of you that are here, but we're also working on a Shift Cafe. So we're going to have a Shift Retail Lab. We're looking at a Shift Cafe that'll all be food related. And then we're looking at opening up Shift Retail Labs and cafes in other markets in the United States and abroad. So we've been contacted by a number of groups to use the graduate students in this program along with the faculty and staff to bring our lessons learned to other markets around the Shift Retail Lab experience. So that's kind of what I get to do every day, is work on these projects like that with our students, and why teaching and learning looks a little bit different in this program than it might in some other programs. And then we're really proud of that. And that's what inspires all of your faculty and staff that work here in support of this program. So like I said, Allison is going to walk you through a lot of the intricacies. I call her the director of details sometimes, but I'm happy to answer any questions that folks have for me. There will be time at the end as well, and Allison can answer them. But if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer those before I run off to class.
Feel free to pop them in the chat or just unmute and ask away.
I guess I'll jump out there since I'm the short timer here in the video today. I was looking at your Preex as well as the healthcare certificate. How would the Preex look? Give me a little background on the Preex.
So you might be familiar with incubators and accelerator programs. We use Lighthouse Labs here in Richmond as a great example of a top 25 accelerator program. Our Preex is a pre-accelerator program, meaning we are trying to give people foundational skills that make them more competitive in full-fledged accelerators. If you look back pre-pandemic, our last master's cohort before the pandemic, out of a class of about 18 students, we had 4 or 5 students accepted to 4 different national accelerator programs. So students took products and services they built in the program. One went to Austin, Texas, one went to Washington, DC, some were accepted here to Lighthouse Labs. So you had this whole mix of students taking these things and taking them into accelerators that were months long. So ours is a small version. It's like a little baby version where we bring you in, we look at your business model, we look at who your customers are, we look at what you're trying to do, we help you with a prototype, we help you with a pitch, and you get that experience of, you know, kind of rapid fire, what can we give you in terms of teaching tools, and then you get a chance to actually pitch, meet with investors, we give away seed funding. You know, our current high water mark is we had a student 2 years ago who won a $5,000 seed grant through the program, and then just was part of a multi-million-dollar exit from the venture that he started in the Preex. And he and a friend used the Preex to say, hey, we're friends, what if we came up with something to work on, and just went through this program to learn the skills, and they stuck with it. And so that's what it is. It's just a way to practice bringing something to market pretty quickly with really great mentorship. We use our mentor network to bring in people from a lot of different sectors to give really great mentorship as well.
Okay. And I'm also thinking about doing the healthcare certificate. So I would like to know a little more about how that looks as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later. I'm a co-director of that program and help develop it. We also have an info session tomorrow night specifically on that program, but there is a little bit more information in here, but happy to answer any, you know, if you have specific questions about it. But otherwise I may wait to give the high level of what that looks like. I think the biggest thing to know at that point, the real, I guess, thing we're trying to do with that is take healthcare providers, people who are working in healthcare, and identify problems, who don't know how to become an entrepreneur, don't know how to launch a product, be able to do that, and be able to help people who are outside of the healthcare space better understand safety and regulations and how, you know, health organizations actually work in order to develop user-centric, you know, devices or products for that space, or new processes. And those kinds of things. So students intermingle. You take 6 credits in nursing, 6 credits in the MPI. If you are an MPI, it doesn't cost you anything beyond your tuition for MPI, because you take it as your 6 credits of electives that are required in the program. But yeah, so it's taught half in School of Nursing leadership program and half in MPI.
Good deal. So I guess I'll hang around to kind of listen to that, because being that I'm bringing a consulting company in, and in consulting, you definitely have to have a niche market.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at all my little niches that I can add to my services. So
Excellent.
that'd be great.
Rodney, that due date, so that is a separate application that students have to start, and that one is due March 15th. But we just have to have an application. Since you've already gone through the process of applying to MPI, that counts as your interview for the healthcare certificate. So we just have a wonderful relationship with School of Nursing, and they trust us. You know, if we decide to accept to MPI, they automatically accept for nursing. So we just need to have a separate application. But if you want to email Mary Chris Escobar for a fee waiver, an application fee waiver, you can absolutely do that. There's no reason to pay multiple application fees.
Good deal. Good deal. I'll put that in. She actually had that in the email to me earlier today.
Okay.
So I'll be definitely doing that.
Excellent. Excellent. Good to know.
Rudy, did you have a question?
Oh no, I was just gonna tell Allison I'm gonna listen to the spiel and then wait for all my questions at the end.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Good
absolutely.
deal. Well, I'm going to run off to class. I'm going to put my email in the chat before I go, so feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to meet one-on-one with anyone about the program to answer specific questions, talk through specific plans. We do this, we keep this program small and cohort-based because we really enjoy students and spending time with them. We really enjoy walking alongside you all. We don't do this to crank through a bunch of people every year in a big cohort and graduate as many as we can. We, as faculty, love diving in with you and really getting to know you and what you're working on, and doing that with specific people throughout the course of a cohort. And then we get to do it all over again. So please don't hesitate to reach out. That's why we're here. That's why we'll put our info here. Please take advantage of it if you have any questions. But good to see you all, and you're in good hands with Allison.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Garrett. And for those who may be viewing the recording, Garrett, my email address, all the contact, you can contact us directly through the Vinci Center email address and our website. And it will get to us. We check that regularly and we'll make sure that we get to the right person. But if you would like to talk to one of us one-on-one to just dig a little deeper and figure out whether or not this program is right for you, we are happy to have those meetings. Again, this is our flagship program. This is one that we really focus on developing a cohort and making sure that we have a really good set of students that can work together well throughout this program. So I'm going to share my screen and let's see. Here we go. Let me go share mode. Oops, not share. Nope. Got to make a mistake at least once today, right? I didn't talk on mute. That's usually my mistake that I get to go through. Instead, Garrett got to do that before we started recording. So I'm going to give you the high level of what Da Vinci is and then kind of move into more specifics of the MPI program and the healthcare certificate. And just give you some examples of some of the work that we do and yeah, help you learn how to apply and give you some tips and tricks on what may increase your chances of getting accepted into the program. So the Da Vinci Center, we've been around for a little over a decade. We started off with undergraduate baccalaureate certificates in product innovation and venture creation. We added on human-centered design as a foundation for everything we do. So all of our programs are based in human-centered design or design thinking. And these programs kind of go high level. Students are taught engineering, arts, business. They work and develop real products, but the graduate program that we do, the MPI, kind of combines all of those things and then digs deeper. So it takes it to a graduate level. We have people who are doing this in real life, doing product development, doing business consulting. We have an international business consultant who teaches our business class. We have, a decorated designer who teaches our arts and design course, an engineer who develops products and new innovations for Canon cameras, all kinds of things I get to teach in the program. And I am a serial entrepreneur, about to launch another one, hopefully soon, hopefully this year. We'll see. 2022 might be my year. So the Da Vinci, or the MPI is meant to dig deep. Meant to help you figure out where you want to go and help you get there versus the undergraduate programs where it's in addition to a major and we're helping students develop stories to go out and get jobs, but through applied experiences. And then at the graduate level, of course, we have the MPI and the graduate certificate in healthcare innovation. So let's see, our graduate programs, to dig a little deeper, the Master of Product Innovation is really 13 months to 2 years, just depending. If you go part-time, it can go to 2 years. If you go full-time, it's 13 to 18 months, depending on when you apply and are accepted. So generally summer to summer is the 13 months and fall to fall or fall to December or August to December is like more of the longer period. Everything we do is cross-disciplinary, so we do accept students from all different types of backgrounds. We try to balance that well in any cohort. That's part of the development of going through the interview process and deciding which group of students may be the best to come through. That cohort is small, like Garrett said, 15 to 20 students. We generally don't go over that because we are also a relatively small team that's quickly expanding, but we only have so much bandwidth to be able to provide. And we don't, we want to make sure that we are there for our students and able to mentor them and help them through and figure out where they want to go in that very short period of time that we have them. We do focus on advanced product innovation and entrepreneurship. We believe that students understanding the product development process as well as the entrepreneurial mindset and knowing how to take an idea and move it towards commercialization are essential to any place you work in terms of product, whether you are an entrepreneur or an intrapreneur where you're developing innovations inside of an organization. You need that mindset and that ability to think beyond challenges, identify where gaps are, and be able to help move an organization forward in a user-centric way. The graduate certificate in healthcare innovation, it's only 12 credit hours. So like I just said earlier, if you are part of the MPI, you have 6 credits of electives that you can use, and the 6 credits from the nursing program for the certificate fit nicely into that. So it is the same tuition regardless. I'll also mention here that with MPI, we have a kind of blanket tuition. We have a just standard tuition. There's a ceiling to that. So in the event that, so if you are full-time, if you are at 9 credits, you can take 12 or 15, and there's no additional tuition on top of that. Depending on what the courses are, there may be added fees, university fees or programmatic fees if you're taking them in another school. But you have this opportunity of a 6-credit buffer during your regular semesters where you can take on more things, fill in more gaps, or just do things that you're interested in for no additional tuition, which is pretty nice. Of course, the healthcare certificate is cross-disciplinary, as it just is by nature. But I will note that as we kind of talk about our MPI as being very experiential, very applied, we do not take tests, we take risks is one of our taglines. But in the nursing school program, they are very regimented in terms of how they assess their students. So you do work in groups. It is asynchronous and online, but you do end up working in groups and teams. So you are working with healthcare providers and people studying to be nurses. But it is a program where I would expect to see more of a traditional academic model than you will see in the Da Vinci Center, where we have lots of ambiguity, lots of risk taking, lots of open learning opportunities. Okay, so to dig in a little deeper, and I just want to note to the audience that we have here, if you have questions in between, feel free to interrupt. This is meant to be very conversational, similar to the interviews that students go through for this program. We want to get to know who you are, and that is our best method of being able to learn whether or not this is a good fit. So looking at the sequence of classes, this is generally how the program is designed. So this is the 13-month option, so a summer start. Looking at starting in summer of 2022, potentially if you're a summer applicant, the summer application did technically close, but if you're still interested in that, we have the opportunity to either switch a fall application over. Yeah.
Hey, Allison, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm seeing your Google folder. Did you start a slide deck? Because I'm
I certainly did
okay.
A while ago at the very beginning. Wow.
Okay. So sorry about I sent you a DM, but
I didn't see it because the chat doesn't come up.
Yeah.
Wow.
I should have said something.
That's a little embarrassing. My gosh. Okay, let's make sure that I'm sharing the correct screen.
I'll give you a thumbs up or tell you.
Okay, I thought I had it up there. I thought I had it selected. Okay. Are you still seeing my Google Drive?
It is loading. It's coming up. Has started sharing. Has started screen sharing.
Okay. It has now disappeared from my screen.
Okay. It just says Allison has started screen sharing.
Okay. Hold on a second. My apologies to everyone. That's
sorry for everyone at home.
Yeah, that's not something that any presenter wants to have happen, because I've had screens up the entire time. But we roll with it. This is failure is in our process here. I'm just trying to find where it disappeared to when I clicked off my screen. So hold on one second. There.
No sweat.
One moment, please. It just disappeared.
Do you have dual monitors?
I do, but I'm not entirely certain where that one disappeared to. So that's interesting. Pardon me while I find my slide real quick. The whole window closed. It's like my main window with all my tabs. So no problem. I know exactly where it is. Okay. Go. Not the right one. There we go. Okay. Now, move you guys over here. Oh my goodness. Okay, so there we go. I think I got it. All right, do you see my slideshow now? Okay. I mixed around my monitors today, and I have a feeling that that's what has caused my issue here. Okay, so we see Da Vinci Center for Innovation, right?
There it is. That is a good looking title slide. There you go.
Okay, thank you. Wow. All right, let's keep on moving. So here's my slide about academic programs. Here's the one about graduate programs. And here we are back to where we ended. Thank you so much for signaling me and letting me know. Okay, so this program is really set up to be 13 months. That's how it was designed, but it can absolutely work for an 18-month program. But this is the general model that we show, and then I'll show one for a fall start in a moment. But starting in summer of 2022, we begin with really one of two courses at this point, because the pandemic has caused an issue with study abroad. there's most likely going to be 2 options to finish the first summer requirement. So in 0600 is generally what we complete for the European Innovation Academy. So if we are able to travel and students feel comfortable traveling, we will be going to Portugal from July 17th to August 5th for a 3-week experience where students are immersed with 65 different nationalities and are able to go from idea to startup in about 3 weeks. You go through the entire product development process and pitching to investors by the end. You're on teams of 5, you have mentorship and instruction from C-level executives from like Google and Twitter and Amazon, and name a big company, and they're there. Very broad range of age group, very broad range of experience, but one of the most impactful experience that our students have given us feedback to let us know that this is something that's been really incredible. You are in a constant state of problem solving. You're in another country, you may not speak the language, you may not know the cultural parts of just even acquiring food. And so it is a true state of problem solving pretty constantly. The other option to fulfill that currently this summer is still listed as an INO 91. And on the academic side, 91s tend to be topics courses. So we have a topics course that is turning into a permanent course this fall. But for the summer, it remains as a topics course, but it is focusing on change management, innovation, and design. And so it is taught by Gopal Nair, who does design thinking worldwide, mainly for the US government, but does it in a way that helps people be very creative. And he's worked for companies like Capital One and various other large institutions to kind of help them implement the design thinking process. And this course comes with 3 certifications, internationally recognized certifications, and it can go in place. So if you would rather take an online class to fulfill this requirement, you can do the INO 691, or if you would rather be here in the States and not travel to Portugal, you're allowed to. You can also do Portugal at the end of your experience or in the following summer, and we'll get into that a little bit. There are other 691 courses that we offer in the summer, and these are meant to be kind of puzzle pieces for any student to come in and decide what skills they want to build stronger skills in, and then they also want to maybe fill in some gaps or find a little bit deeper understanding of a subject that they may not know, but know that it may be a topic in the Master Product Innovation. So right now, as I'm looking at summer, we're going to be offering intellectual property protection. So we have a lawyer from Nixon Peabody who will be coming in. This will be an in-person course to teach intellectual property. So copyrights, trademarks, patents. Really important class for students. If you really want to develop products, that is an incredibly wonderful class to take. And he is so entertaining. It's probably the most entertaining lawyer that I have ever met. But we met him at the European Innovation Academy, and he is incredible. We'll also be teaching, we're going to do Scrum Master certification in the fall. We used to do it in the summer, but now we're going to do product owner training. So certified Scrum product owner training. So that is also an internationally recognized certification. There's user-based research and UX UI. And I'm hoping to convince my favorite engineering professor to do a prototyping class, but we'll see if I can convince him tomorrow. So we're going to offer about 4 or 5 1-credit courses. These are short courses. So they are between 1 to 3 weeks. The change management and design one, that's a 3-credit course. So that one runs for about 8 weeks of the summer. So there's a little bit of variability there, but you have options to be able to take. And anything over 5 credits allows you to receive financial aid. It's just important to point out that if you are planning to join this summer, you need to file for this year's FAFSA. So for 2021, 2022, because that's included in that academic year. And then fall starts the 2022, 2023 year. Okay, moving on through this. So the fall semester is really where we focus on industry. We have classes. So 501 is arts and design, 502 is business, 503 is engineering or technology, and 590 is the project course that I teach. So I work with the other faculty to learn. So you learn all of the tools that you need to be able to work on a project specifically for industry. So it may be for a nonprofit, it may be for a Capital One or CarMax kind of situation, it may be for a startup. But we look at the skill sets that our students are bringing in order to select these projects, and that process starts way in advance of our our projects actually being accepted into the program. So again, all these are taught by experienced people. The 590 course is the part where I start to give examples, and I have some favorites, and I'm going to try to do different ones for this recording because all my other recordings, I use my favorite ones. So we've had some students come through that come up with really amazing things. And so I'm going to tell a couple of stories, and some of it will overlap a little bit with the capstone courses that I'm getting into, or that I'll get into for spring and summer. But I think it's just really important to see it as a whole story. So one of our stories is from a product called French Slide. So a man named Matthew Sozio came through the program. He was an undergrad who came right into graduate school. That sometimes happens. We also have, adult learners and various other people who come through. But in this case, he went through a criminal justice program. He was trying to move a couch into his apartment with his engineering roommate, couldn't do it, and didn't understand why sliding glass doors couldn't also open like French doors. And so they developed a product that could do just that. It can be a sliding glass door and then can also pivot out to be a French door. And in that intellectual property class that I talked about earlier, we took his patent that he was developing with Nixon Peabody, and we did patent mining. And we expanded it to where we developed a piece one, well, we developed a safety component to it, so any concerns for parents. And we developed multiple patents that helped them evolve this product. So not only can it open like a French door, but it can also switch tracks, so it can open to the inside or open to the outside. This product is currently being manufactured and being used in newly built homes. So it's not something you can necessarily go buy at a Home Depot, but it is for home manufacturers at this time until it becomes a little bit broader, just more broadly distributed. Another example that we have is I guess I'll give good examples of really excellent solutions. So we worked with a startup called Answers Now. This is a company that provides ADA training for kids with autism on the autism spectrum and their parents. The team that came together on this, they were biomedical engineers, graphic designers, communication students, and they ended up developing a new part to the app. So they talked to parents, they talked to clinicians to figure out what the problems are. And similar to things like period trackers, they developed a product that allows a parent to record their children's behavior. So just making notes of their children's behaviors, and then it cues them to respond with how they responded to the child. And then that information can be shared with the clinician to help the parent better understand how to handle individual situations and be able to evolve with their child as their child's also learning. Shortly after that presentation, they included it in their next round raise pitch, and they were given a new round of $1 million. And so that was a direct influence from what our students were able to create. This course is specifically meant to give you experience in product development, but with ideas that are already somewhat validated. So you have a company that's either bringing forward a how might we statement or bringing forth an identified problem. So we're giving you the problem to solve, and then you work as a cross-disciplinary team to solve it. But in spring, this is where you are working with your own product or idea. Now, mind you, if you already have a product idea or you already have a business running, you can absolutely start in the fall and start developing that. And we're here to mentor and help you do that and introduce you to our network to make that happen. But the real work in terms of true academics being in a classroom, that happens in INNO 651, which is a 6-credit course. And it's the first half of the capstone, meaning that you pitch in December what your idea is. It goes through the committee and it's approved. And then you bring that idea and work it towards commercialization as fast as you can in that course. Of course, using user-centric design, actually talking to people, presenting your products in the Shift Retail Lab for feedback, those kinds of things. You have mentors both in the class and always in the program outside. Garrett, myself, a few of our faculty are also mentors in the program. And we help you by the start of the fall semester. We're helping you figure out what it is that you want to do. So you're not just randomly submitting a proposal, but you've figured out what your interests are and started to identify needs early in the fall semester. So that course can end in one of 3 ways, leading into the second half of the capstone, which is normally in the summer. So you can either continue your product. So if you find traction, you make it far enough along, you're like ready to start a business, you can just continue your business to finish the program. So your work on your business becomes your classwork. And then you do some readings and responses in order to communicate what your experience has been with the rest of your cohort and work through your goals towards a specific outcome that you develop for the end of that. Another option is going into some sort of product internship. So we have partners that we can help connect students with in order to find these internships. We also invite students to find them on their own. And we also hold reverse career fairs where you come in and you are the person sitting at the table, and our different partners and employers come to you to discuss what your ideas are, what your interests are in terms of the working world. And then potentially provide job offers later on. We have had a student just got an internship with one of our partners. She notified me about it last week from one of our reverse career fairs. And then the third, besides the internship, so continuing the project internship, and then the third is a traditional master's thesis, which nearly no one ever opts into because we're an applied program, and that is more of a, I guess, traditional academic pathway. Now, mind you, we have had students who have been interested in that, but they kind of got sidetracked by the end of 651. So we'll give an example of Isaiah Harvin, who wanted to pursue that track because he wanted to get a PhD in marketing and innovation, and he had picked up an idea in 651 to work with a company that was newly starting in our health system. And so he wanted to work with an external company. You do not have, I should step back. You do not have to bring in an original idea to this program. You can partner with another student. You can borrow ideas from our tech transfer office. You can partner with a company you already work for or a local startup. The whole point, you just have to have autonomy over the idea that you're working on, okay? So this student decided to work on a problem coming out of our health system. And by the end, when they're starting their startup, they invited him to be a co-founder of that. And so he ended up moving that forward and using that in 652. And then in this process, he was networking with as many people as he could in Richmond. And when the head of Warner Media was looking for someone to run HBO Max, they happened to know people in our ecosystem and reached out, and they pointed Isaiah in his direction. And now he runs product for HBO Max, which is pretty fantastic. Isaiah is one of those students who did this program part-time. There are electives in the program. You can do them. You can either do our electives or you can choose electives outside of the program. We're working to present more offerings to the institution for all graduate students, just as we see more interest in students from other programs that don't necessarily want to go into product, but they want to learn about specific things that we teach. And then speaking of the fall sequence, this is a true part-time model. So it is not if you're going full-time and starting in the fall, but Mary Chris Escobar, our advisor for the MPI program, she can lead you through what that looks like, right? She can tell you which classes, but it'll just take from August through the following December to do that, unless you choose to prolong your experience in the program. But with either of those, you get the crossover and the networking. You get to meet two cohorts. You get the experience of working with two cohorts of MPIs, which can be a really valuable experience as well. Oops. So with this, there are, depending on what your background is, if you come from business, you don't technically have to take INO 502, the business course. We encourage you to, because it is definitely taught through the lens of product innovation versus, any open business courses. So if you come from a background in business innovation, you may not want to take that course, but Jeff Hammond is one of our favorite teachers, so you might want to anyway. But just, so this kind of walks you through which courses are scheduled in which semesters to help you step through the program, but no need to go back through them again since I just explained them. 652 is meant to just launch you out into the world. It is not intended to just be a traditional course. You are thinking throughout the entire spring semester about where you want to go when you graduate. And that's where we help to move you forward in the last part of the capstone. So very much applied, very much real world. Okay, so how to apply. If you go to the Da Vinci Center webpage and you click the graduate header, it's going to bring you to the Master of Product Innovation, or select that one because we also have the healthcare certificate in there. And it's going to take you to a different webpage on the graduate school's website. So that is intentional. It's going to ping you to another application website. And that's where we will see you. And then it's going to ask you for a few things. So the things that we absolutely have to have, didn't change that date. So for fall, that is a May 15th date. Okay, fall is May 15th. We need a statement of intent. There are 3 questions in the system that will give you an idea of something to write about. But really, it's meant for us to get to know you. This is one of the most important parts of your application to the Da Vinci Center. A resume, so just up to date, so we know kind of where you are in the working world and what your background is. We only need the names and email addresses of 3 references. We don't need the actual letters yet. Just to click submit on the application. We need 2 of those references in to actually interview you. So it may take a little while from submission to actually go in, but the system will automatically ping your references through those email addresses to submit a reference for you. And then we just have to have transcript requests into the system. So that just pings your other schools to send your official transcripts in. And you can also upload unofficial transcripts if you like, as long as the transcript request for the official transcripts is in the system. Now, if you look on our website or in our bulletin, you're going to see some conflicting language from what I'm about to say, because it takes ages to change anything in higher ed, but we are given the freedom from the graduate school to make decisions on what our application process needs to be in order to adjust for the pandemic and various other things. We try to alleviate as many barriers as we can for people to apply to a program. This is not meant to be intimidating. This is just meant, hey, you're interested in something and we want to hear about that interest in order to make that decision. So if you want to submit a portfolio, you can. And it can be anything from your work. We've had students from business present slideshows that they've developed for work along with their pitches for marketing campaigns. We have, photographers that submit their work there. We've had theater students submit recordings for various other things. So this is completely optional if you're an engineer and you want to submit designs, those kinds of things. We are happy to keep everything confidential. Just let us know if something is confidential so we don't share it more broadly. But it used to be a requirement just for art students to submit a portfolio. And then we required GRE scores and GMAT scores and those kinds of things from the remaining students. But since we have gotten rid of the testing, your test scores on GRE don't tell us anything about who you are. It tells us whether or not you can take a test, and we don't do that here. So it's not very relevant. So we're removing that from the program and making the portfolio optional for everyone to come through. All right, let's see. So no tests required, portfolio optional. Okay, so I can give more examples. You can ask questions, but that's our website and that's our email address for anybody who's watching from home. For people here, I'll put my email address in the chat as well as our advisors. If you don't have questions now, but you want to reach out later, I'm going to take us off screen share so that we can have a little bit more of a conversation here. All right, let me move you over here where I can see you. All right. All right, feel free to drop them in the chat or come off mute. We're Rudy, my savior here. Let's ask the questions.
I've been in your situation before, so
you kind of got to let it roll off your back.
All right,
We've done these so many times.
Here's my $1 million question. I am a full-time professor at the School of the Arts, and I'm wondering, does Da Vinci participate? I don't know what the right language is for it, but can I get a tuition waiver for this master's program?
Partial tuition waiver for this program. So this program is a bit more expensive. I would recommend going to the tuition calculator to see the full amount, just because it's a challenge I don't know what all of your circumstances are, so the fees and various other things differ. But they offer a certain amount of, I believe I think it's more than 608 per credit hour for up to 6 credits. So if you were planning on coming on full-time into the program, there would be credits beyond that where you would be on full tuition beyond the 6 credits that VCU covers for that. And Mary Chris actually has a lot of information in that because we have quite a few people who are employed at VCU applying to this program.
Okay.
So she'll be an excellent resource for that question.
Who is that again?
Mary Chris Escobar. I'll put her
Okay.
email address in the chat.
And I could email her and set up a time to talk.
Absolutely.
Is that appropriate?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Mary Chris.
Yep, Mary Chris, hyphenated.
Thank you. Okay.
All right, next question.
Oh.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi, Moms Who
Great.
Code.
Hey, hi. Great to connect from Nigeria. For me, I work full time, but I have been working on Moms Who Code since 2020, and we actually started out as a WhatsApp group for moms interested in learning to code, and so far we have done boot camps, and now I'm looking at actually helping it scale to the point where we not only offer free boot camps, but we can actually turn it into like a full tech school for women, like focused on women. And then I saw the MPI program online, and I'm like, okay, so this really kind of works, because I'm sure it will help me learn what I need to be able to achieve what I want to achieve with Moms Who Code in the shortest time possible. And so I'm wondering, okay, have you had any international students like from Nigeria? That's one. And also, have you what's like for me, I'm a mom and I'm looking to study more and to actually achieve certain goals I've set for myself. And I'm wondering, is there a possibility? Have you had such like full-time students, mom schooling with you, and then trying to launch a product at the same time? And then I'm also wondering, does it have to be a physical product? Because what we're looking at is a fully virtual school. So I want to be sure, does it have to be like a physical product, or it could be in form of a virtual training school or a platform just connecting people?
Okay, there's a lot of questions. I might miss some. You'll have to remind me. Okay, so so yes, we have had lots of parents come through the program, and I'm happy to connect you with alumni that have come through and been developing products and working full time and raising kids at the same time. You know, sometimes our students, especially who have that much going on, don't feel like they can engage in all of the experiences that happen in the program. We do a lot of stuff outside of the classroom as well that gives students opportunities. And so some of those students may choose or say, you know, it might be beneficial to go part-time into a program as opposed to full-time. But happy to make that introduction. And yes, we have plenty of parents. You are actually my fourth Nigerian student who is potentially applying to this program. I already have 3 in the system. And you're my 4th person who's come forward. And I'm kind of wondering what metrics are leading us to Nigeria, but I love it. Like, bring it on. There's so many entrepreneurs coming out of Nigeria, and that's exciting. I do have one student who graduated from the program who is from Nigeria. Okay. He is currently working for Amazon Web Services up in Northern Virginia. And he was our interviewee on the last one, but I believe he was here he went to school as a US citizen and not as an international student. We do have international students. My ones right now, I believe, are from Colombia and from Sri Lanka. And so we can help you in terms of connecting with global education, the Global Education Office, and kind of figuring out what visas and various other things look like to be able to help you work through that process. And then we also have some scholarship opportunities, especially offered for international students, that can help with expenses. And we do offer graduate assistantships for others. You know, just more of the graduate assistantships are more of like a part-time job. So I don't know if that's something that you would actually be able to take on with everything else that you have going, but we do offer students remote work so that they can work from home in their own time and that they don't have to, you know, be in a physical location to be able to do something. And then for the last question, I think I got them all. It definitely does not have to be a physical product. The one I spoke about earlier for Answers Now, developed in my course, that was a digital product. A lot of our products have digital and physical components, but I mean, we teach UX UI, we teach user-centered research. Those things are very much in line with developing digital products. And the woman who teaches our UX UI course, that is what she does. She runs cross-disciplinary teams to actually develop digital products. And she's an incredible person and loves working with our students. That's Erin Brooks. She's pretty amazing.
That's amazing. I think I feel quite a relief getting your responses. Yeah.
We're pretty flexible. We want to be able to help people achieve what they want to achieve. If their mindset is in the right place to be a good fit for this program, it doesn't make sense to be rigid with things. We just try to make sure that we're sharing our resources so that people can find their own level of success. And that's the best we can do, right? We're trying to attract a lot of different people, and so it involves a lot of flexibility.
It's amazing. And I have one last question. Now, the product that is being built, does it have to cater to a certain demographic or a certain, for instance, if I'm building a product, can I say it's a product that is centered on African women? Can I say, or it has to be a product centered on that meets the needs of women from across the continent or across the world? I don't have a problem with that, but I just want to be clear. I just want to know.
We will always encourage students to look at a full market and also a target market. And so if your target market is specifically African women or mothers who are African women, as long as we can find a connection to do user-based research with that group of people, that's absolutely acceptable. We just have to have, part of the experience is actually talking to human beings and getting feedback on prototypes and testing and those kinds of things. So yeah, we would just need access to, or you would just need to have access to a group of people that could help test your products.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Yeah.
Anything else?
For now, no. I think I got your contact. I can always mail.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, please do. And I'll put my personal email address in here too, so people have, or well, my work email address, but for me directly. There we go.
All right.
Drop that in the chat. Make sure I spell my name right, given how tonight's going. Gotta have some self-deprecating humor in there too.
Yeah. So thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right. I'm assuming Rodney doesn't have any other questions. He's already applied and gone through the full interview process, but he might.
No, I just wanted to hear about the healthcare, so I said, let me hang in there, and I actually was enjoying the other questions. So
I can, do you want me to send you have you gotten the FAQ on the healthcare program yet?
yes.
You did? Okay. Okay, good.
Hey, Rodney, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Yeah, how lengthy is the interview process? What does that look like really quickly?
I can't say.
Oh, you sound like an NDA, or is that something, oh, we can't?
No, I told them not to give away our secrets, but.
I will say this, it's tough, but enjoyable.
Yeah, okay.
But enjoyable.
So in terms of timeline, I think I can give you a good answer on that. So Rodney is an exception to this. He applied.
What questions do they ask you? No. Yeah, no, in terms of like timeline and.
Yeah, timeline. So Rodney's a little bit of an exception because he's the earliest person who has ever submitted an application in like the July before the summer that he was coming in. So he had a little bit longer of a timeline while we were waiting for other applicants to become ready for interviews. And then we just started the interview process earlier this month. So Rodney, I have set up for next Wednesday to give him his answer when he applied 2 weeks ago, or no, not applied, sorry, interviewed 2 weeks ago. So 3 weeks out. And that's usually how it is with applicants who apply very early, because we need to be able to interview quite a few other people before we can make the decisions on whether or not people come in. So we are currently in the process of interviewing and making those decisions. So even if you're applying for fall, it's in everyone's best interest to apply earlier. That also gets you in line for available scholarships and those kinds of things. But after you interview, if it's between, let's see, so you submit your application, we got to get 2 of your references in, and everything else will already be submitted because you have it. It requires you before you click submit. Then as soon as those two references are in, we check it multiple times a day. We set you up with an interview. Stephanie Danis will reach out, get it scheduled. We can do it virtually or in person. Our committee, for the most part, would rather do virtual things. You go through an hour of about 10 questions. You can ask us questions. It's very conversational. And then we have you go through what's called an innovation challenge, which is the more secret thing that I can't tell you really what that's about. But you problem solve for about 30 minutes in the.
Did you say 10 questions?
Yeah, they're not difficult questions, really. It's digging down and who you are and what you want to do. Like, what do you expect to get out of the program and those kinds of things. It's really just meant to be a match, and meant to be a conversation. that whole experience, I don't know, Rodney, give your perspective. Were we intimidating in that process?
Not actually, no, it wasn't intimidating. They made it clear that they wanted to know why you wanted to be in the program, but it was a very relaxed conversation. They made you feel really at home throughout the entire process.